Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. We're so excited to have you with us as we take some time and help you learn how to engage customers and drive sales with a powerful content strategy. My name is Katrina Toyer, and I am the content specialist with Postmedia and your host for today. We welcome you to use the chat to ask any questions you might have. And on that note, we would love to hear from you. Please take a moment to use the chat and let us know what you're hoping to learn today. To kick things off, allow me to introduce Sophie Russ, the executive producer from the Postmedia Content Works team. This lovely lady will be overseeing today's chat.
Hi, everyone.
For those of you who don't know Postmedia, our group of 130 plus brands serving Canadians coast to coast is known for our exceptional journalism, advanced digital capabilities, and a large audience of millions of Canadians every month. Our clients benefit from our extensive digital marketing expertise. We help businesses large and small with customized marketing strategies designed to meet your unique objectives, tapping into the Postmedia network, but also on search and social, digital out of home, and so much more. During today's webinar, you will learn more about how to build an effective sponsored content strategy, how to create a content plan to meet your marketing objectives, how to maximize ROI and build brand trust and authority, and we will also share a few success stories and best practices for content creation. With us today are Leah and Matt from the Content Works team, an award-winning full-service commercial studio within Postmedia, consisting of extremely creative individuals who specialize in producing integrated, multi-platform content for businesses of all sizes. Matt Flemming is the director of Content Works with nearly 2 decades of expertise in journalism, PR, custom publishing, and content marketing. He has created compelling branded content for global brands like Samsung, Toyota, and Pfizer. As the visionary behind Postmedia's content studio, Matt develops strategies to enhance sponsored content impact. He has been recognized with the Canadian Online Publishing Award in 2021 and serves as a jury member for the Native Advertising Awards. Matt is joined by Leah Bjornson, who is an executive producer for Content Works. Leah is an accomplished expert in branded content, renowned for her ability to build and lead high-performing content teams. In previous roles, Leah has collaborated in content executions with Fortune 500 brands and premium digital publishers such as Apartment Therapy, Elle Canada, and New York Magazine. She has also served as a judge for the Canadian Online Publishing Awards in 2022 and 2023.
Thanks for joining us. So Matt and I are super excited today to be with you to talk about content strategy and how to better engage your customers and drive sales. So to start, a content strategy acts as a guide to help you achieve your business objectives using content marketing. It helps you plan and create engaging and valuable content at every step of the buyer's journey, from creating awareness about your solution to converting prospects into loyal customers, and even fostering advocacy and retention. So whether you're a small startup or a large corporation, having a robust content strategy is your key to achieving marketing success. It acts as your guiding compass, pointing you towards the quickest and most effective path to reach your desired goals. According to Content Marketing Institute, a staggering 77% of B2C organizations and 70% of B2B businesses are generating significantly more content compared to just a year ago. So how do you stay ahead of the curve? It's crucial to develop a well-defined content marketing strategy that aligns with your marketing objectives, serving as a roadmap to guide your content creation efforts. Without a well-defined strategy, it might be difficult to create cohesive and consistent content that resonates with your target audience and aligns with their buyer journey. So to start today, I'd like us to begin by defining our goals. So what are you hoping to achieve in your business, whether that's through content or through other means right now? And in fact, it would be great if everyone could put in the chat just a couple words, whether that's build awareness, drive sales, maybe establish expertise in a subject matter, whatever your goal is right now. I'd love to hear what that is. And Sophie's going to read off some of these goals as you put them in the chat. So please take a moment here, just a couple words. What are you hoping to achieve in your business through marketing right now? We'll give people just a minute to add these in. And don't be shy, just a couple words, can be something simple, doesn't have to be too complicated. Over to you, Sophie.
So it looks like some of the things that people are interested or want to achieve with their current marketing goals are reaching a wider audience, increasing brand awareness, and positioning their company as the expert in their industry.
Fantastic. Thanks, Sophie. Content is, I'd say, most commonly used as an awareness play. That's typically when we see it employed to its best abilities, but that said, it can fit into other parts of the sales funnel too, depending on how you use it. So once you've determined what you're hoping to get out of your content campaign, it's time to flip the script. What does your audience want? We've established what your goals are, what you're hoping to get. What does your audience want? So in content, it's always important to give more than you take. So you need to consider, what value can you give to your audience? What conversations is your audience already having? And what questions do they have that you are well positioned to answer? So when you consider your goals, your expertise, and your audience's interests, that's going to help you find the sweet spot for your content, and your story needs to fit within it. By aligning what you're an expert in with a question or a curiosity that your target audience has about your business, you can quickly determine the ideal story to share with an audience through sponsored content. As an example, some of us on this call might be trying to purchase a home in the next few years, whether that's a primary residence or maybe a vacation property. But with real estate, you know, the way it is these days, interest rates, their concerns over potential real estate bubble, all these uncertainties, it's hard to know if now is the right time to buy. A financial partner might see this opportunity and jump into that conversation that their target audience is already having, offering advice related to interest rates, finding the right mortgage product, or forecasting what the market might look like in 6, 12, 18 months. By doing so, they're giving value to readers and positioning themselves as a trusted partner. So I want to talk a little more specifically about sponsored content as an aspect of your content marketing strategy. So sponsored content can be easily understood as paid content. Articles, videos, listicles, social media, and lots more, hosted by a trusted media publisher and promoted through the publisher's channels. This content is often produced by the publisher's in-house creative team. So at Postmedia, that's ContentWorks, in collaboration with a business. It's crafted to provide an editorial style experience for readers, so it's not interruptive, but rather matches the form, feel, and function of the rest of the site. You might also know it as advertorial. I think when people hear advertorial, maybe they relate it to content that feels quite salesy. But the main difference with what we do and what we suggest you do is that you never want sponsored content to feel self-serving or like a sales pitch. Sponsored content needs to provide value to the reader, whether it's through a good story or useful information. And the last point here, which is critically important, is that sponsored content is always labeled to ensure transparency. Different publishers have different policies on this, but we know that readers don't like to feel deceived. That's why we include labels and disclaimers on all our content, as well as on all promotion of the content. It's critical for us at Postmedia that readers can clearly differentiate between editorial and sponsored content. So on this slide, we have a few examples of what sponsored content can look like. Often we see it in the form of articles, like this example on the right from Brivia Group, telling the story of their amazing chalet-style homes. But it can also look like videos promoted through a publisher's social channels, or through beautiful original image galleries, interactive content, and more. And really, the content is meant to look and feel like editorial, with proper labeling, of course. But you can see here that the content lives on, for example, the Montreal Gazette or the National Post, and it's experienced just like editorial content would be. The idea here is that readers are more receptive to advertising when it's in a format that they know and love. And that placement on a publisher's own channels and the alignment with the publisher's brand and authority differentiate sponsored content from blog content or other marketing products. So now that we've defined what sponsored content is, let's talk about what it can do, some of the great advantages that sponsored content offers. So first and foremost, sponsored content lets you write your own narrative. Content can also be an opportunity to tell your audience your story, convey your values, your passions, your mission as a company. It can be used to build credibility by establishing you or your company as a thought leader, an expert innovator, or an expert authority on your topic. After all, who knows your industry better than you? So this is an opportunity to show off your expertise. Sponsored content can improve brand awareness and recognition because it's very effective at leaving a lasting impression. So at Postmedia, a typical user will spend between 2 and 4 minutes with a piece of sponsored content. In a world of endless scrolling, that's a ton of time that can be used to make a connection. In your marketing funnel, sponsored content can be used for awareness, engagement, or conversion, but we do find it's best suited as a tool for engagement. Because most sponsored content is promoted through social media, it can drive a conversation, especially when you ask a question or offer insights into a topic that's top of mind for your audience. You've probably been filling the top of your funnel with awareness campaigns, and we know that a lot of these consumers are going to do plenty of research online before making a buying decision. They're reading reviews, articles, watching videos. Sponsored content often provides useful information that helps consumers make a decision and driving them towards intent and interest. And finally, it can be geared towards generating traffic to your site through display ads on the page and calls to action. But perhaps the most important reason to believe in sponsored content is that it works. So consider this. What have you shared with someone in the last 24 to 48 hours online? Probably maybe an article on Facebook or LinkedIn. You might have shared an Instagram post or a TikTok video with someone. I ask because we as human beings love stories, and sponsored content lets advertisers, businesses deliver their message in a format that we're already interacting with and sharing with our loved ones. We're also more likely to remember, share, and be influenced by stories than other forms of advertising. Our brains love patterns, and stories create patterns where we connect what we're hearing in a story to our own experiences, which creates an emotional connection, but also reinforces that story in your mind. So, in fact, sponsored content is 22 times more engaging than traditional banner ads, which is probably part of the reason why it sticks with us. But not all stories are created equal. Premium publishers have established trust with their audience as credible news sources, and this puts them ahead of content promoted on social platforms like Facebook and X, according to research from Outbrain. What does this mean for you? Through sponsored content, your brand can piggyback on premium publishers' reputations and associate itself with their trusted content, which leads to increased trust, authority, and brand lift. Again, it's not just about getting your content in front of as many eyeballs as possible. Where it's published matters.
Hi, Leah. We have a question about this. Could you go into a bit more detail about why it matters where you publish your content?
Yeah, absolutely. And if at any point anyone has questions, please add them into the chat. We're more than happy to answer as we go. Always nice to make this more of a conversation. So why does it matter where you publish your content rather than on your blog or a website? Publishing with a trusted media publisher has a few benefits. First, it telegraphs that your story is credible because a publisher created it in partnership with you and published it, meaning the publication stands behind your story, giving it authority and trust and building the reputation of your brand story. Second, I'd say it allows you to expand the reach of your content to the publisher's audience. So not just people coming to your website or through your paid traffic ads, but through traffic that has familiarity with the publication and seeks out their content. And third, you benefit from the publisher's expertise by collaborating with a team of experts at their in-house studios, such as the one at Postmedia or in-house teams elsewhere. That team of experts can help you tell your story in the best format possible, make recommendations, and give your story a real journalistic, meaningful spin. So I'd say those are a few of the reasons.
Thank you.
So what does this mean for you, your brand, your business? We're going to spend a little time exploring the elements of a content strategy, the kinds of content you might create, and how to determine what the right content is for your company goals. So we talked earlier about determining what story you want to tell, that story that meets your audience's interests and aligns with your expertise. Now it's time to actually craft those stories. So at ContentWorks, we typically create content in the following 6 article formats into which topics can be neatly funneled. You can think of these as the building blocks of many content strategies we create here at ContentWorks. And of course, there's other options, other ways of doing this, but this is a great starting point for your business if you're building a sponsored content strategy. So creating content in diverse formats such as these allows you to highlight different messages, accomplish different marketing goals, and keep your audience entertained and coming back for more. So we'll take a little time to go through these formats and discuss their use cases for your business. A first content format, and one that many businesses pursue, is a business profile. So you can see in the screenshots here, this is an opportunity to tell your audience your story, your values, your mission. And this kind of story also lets you put a human face on your company while sharing accomplishments, maybe speaking to charitable endeavors that you undertake. An example here on the left comes from Baker Tilly, a Vancouver-based financial brand, which used business profiles to share their mission, highlight their values and their leadership team's expertise. And as we go through these, feel free, any questions you have about them, please do put them in the chat. Another popular format for sponsored content is service journalism. So you can think of this as news you can use. That's a term we like to use. This is content that offers advice and tips to help readers make a decision, whether that's about what cereal to buy at the grocery store or where to go on their next vacation. In this example from Ottawa Tourism, the brand created an interactive quiz as part of their sponsored content campaign. This quiz is really cool. It asks readers to rank their travel preferences, ultimately directing them to a sponsored content article that aligns with their ideal kind of vacation. So useful, entertaining, it's an excellent tool for advancing readers on their path to purchase. Businesses often use sponsored content as a vehicle for thought leadership. This is a term we see all over the place, but you can almost think of it like an op-ed, though it doesn't have to be written in the first person. Thought leadership articles position your team's experts as authorities on important topics related to your industry. They can help to build the profile of your team members or elevate your brand in the eyes of your customers. An example here comes from Colliers, a commercial real estate company. Over the course of 6 weeks, Colliers presented timely, hyper-local content using 3 articles, an infographic, and a dynamic video that educated readers on what to expect from the impending Broadway plan, which is a major infrastructure project in Vancouver. The content series gave readers options for content consumption, whether you wanted to watch a video, whether you were scrolling or wanted to read an article, as well as established Colliers' team as the experts on city planning and how these changes are going to affect businesses and residents. A product or service profile is another excellent content format by which to discuss features and benefits of a product or service, again, to help readers on their path to purchase. You don't necessarily have to think of a product as something you can hold in your hand either. It can be an app, if your company has an app or software, a service such as a tune-up for your car. It could even be a course at a post-secondary institution. So here's an example. Released through the fall, SAIT, a polytechnic out of Alberta, created an article series that spotlighted various schools. So they have a school of mechanics, a school of transportation. So students enrolling in these different schools, we want to show them what potential career paths they might have upon graduation. So through interviews with deans of each school, industry partners, and alumni of these programs, the content demonstrated how the Polytechnic's approach to education sets up students to thrive in in-demand careers. So a bit of a different take on a product or service profile, but I think worth mentioning. For the right business, event promotion and coverage can be a great content format, feels very editorial. This kind of content generates excitement with an event preview or a recap. So an example here comes from the Vancouver Art Gallery. They periodically launch stories on the Vancouver Sun to inform their local audience of new exhibitions. Not only does this help drive excitement for the exhibitions, but over time, the gallery has created an online library of content on the Vancouver Sun, where readers can learn about past, present, and upcoming shows. So our last content format I'm going to talk about today is described as brand journalism. This is when your business tells a story related to your brand's values. So not necessarily your products or services, but the effort here is to form an emotional connection with your audience and build brand affinity. And when we say affinity, you know, we want customers to feel connected to what we do, to care about these companies, and to prefer them over alternatives. So the Regional Animal Protection Society, featured here, employed a content series to share its core mission as a nonprofit and reach audiences interested in donating, adopting, and volunteering in support of the organization. It always helps if you have cute puppies in your photos too.
Absolutely. Leah, we have another question about this. What if you know that you want to run content, but you're not really sure what you should talk about or what would be most engaging and useful to our readers?
Yeah, thanks, Sophie. So I can speak for what we do at ContentWorks, and I know all publishers do this a little differently, but we have a team of producers. So these are editors and content creators here within ContentWorks who will meet with you, discuss your marketing objectives, you know, where in the funnel you're trying to hit your readers, what are your objectives for the quarter or the year, and then we'll recommend content ideas that align. So we might recommend a mix of these products. You know, maybe you start with a business profile, you spotlight some of the experts in your business with thought leadership, and then you do a product or service profile to encourage people to convert and make sales. But the summary is that our team of experts can help.
Great, thank you.
So we've spoken a lot today about sponsored content in the form of articles. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, though, there's a whole world of content beyond written articles that brands can use to increase engagement. So you can tell your story through a video, which is extremely shareable, easy for potential customers to engage with, usually auto plays on social, wherever you're promoting it, instantly engaging, captures audience's attention. You could also create an infographic to break down statistics into a visual and easily digestible format. Photos are extremely powerful. They're often what makes someone stop scrolling and consider reading your article or clicking on your content, and they can tell a story all on their own. So they definitely deserve their own due consideration. Quizzes, such as the one we mentioned earlier, created by Ottawa Tourism, can be an effective content format, especially because they deliver personalized content and recommendations. And publishers like Postmedia also create other types of interactive content in addition to quizzes, such as maps, dynamic infographics. And we pursue these because studies show that when individuals click on and interact with your content, they're more likely to remember it. So whenever you're able to create content in a format that forces a reader to stop, click, and interact, the better. I think at this point, I will pass it over to Matt to take us through putting your sponsored content into action.
Great, thanks, Leah. So we've talked about the different building blocks you have at your disposal. You've got your toolkit. Now it's time to build something awesome and make sure people see it. The best thing that you can do when you're creating content is to plan ahead. We're talking about making a plan for content campaigns to run throughout the year. A lot of businesses have seasonal objectives, maybe yours does as well, but for example, retailers like Home Depot, Lowe's, Canadian Tire, they're going to be focused on gardening and home rental projects in the spring. Then in the summer, it might be patio furniture and barbecues. Around Black Friday, it might be appliances and tool sets. And then at Christmas, it's holiday decor and Christmas gifts and things like that. So during each of these key periods, consumers are making buying decisions. They're shopping around. They're reading articles and watching videos that will help them make their decision. They want to know what's new and exciting and where they can find what they're looking for. So this is where you can use service journalism or product profiles to help familiarize your target audience with what you have to offer, with the critical timing of the time of year being important there as well. Of course, this content is even more effective when the reader has already heard of your company, knows who you are, knows what you're about, what you offer, as well as your brand story, your values, and your mission. That's why a key component of the content plan should be to introduce your brand, start a conversation, and stay top of mind. That's something that you can use brand journalism or a business profile for. In some cases, we have clients that can get a lot of their content produced early in the year, set it and forget it. But planning in advance isn't only more efficient, it also is better for your budget, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. If you're going to spend some time and energy creating content, you're obviously going to want to make sure that you have a solid plan to promote it to your target audience. Through targeted online promotion, you can ensure that your content reaches your ideal customers and people who are interested in your industry. At Postmedia, we promote all of our sponsored content on our many websites across Canada, so through native ads, as well as through our social channels like Facebook, Instagram, and X. You can publish your written content in print, aligning with our publication's prestigious titles from coast to coast. And then there's your own platforms. So LinkedIn, newsletters, your website. You're going to want to share and republish your content widely, encourage your staff to promote it, and use snippets of the content across other promotional elements as well.
Hi, Matt. You mentioned promoting sponsored content on various social channels. Could you talk a little bit about Bill C-18 and how that affects sponsored content?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a hot button issue right now. So at Postmedia, with very few exceptions, all of our sponsored content campaigns are promoted using paid ads. So Meta's recent decision, which you probably heard about, to ban news articles on its platform due to Bill C-18 doesn't actually affect paid ads on Meta. So that's still a tool that we can use to promote content. And so nothing has really changed there.
Okay, great.
All right, so when you're making a content plan for the year, there's a few things that will optimize your success that you should be keeping in mind. We've already talked about determining your target audience, but I want to emphasize that the more you know about your target customer, their demographics, their interests, the more effective a targeted campaign is going to be. Next, it's obviously important to define your messages. One of the questions we often ask our clients is, what is the one piece of information that is most important to convey? You should be able to define what that message is for each piece of content. As we've already talked about, sponsored content is primarily a mid-funnel tactic, but we still want to set up a piece of content with some sort of conversion element in mind. Do you want the reader to visit your website to learn more, to call to make an appointment, to talk to their doctor? Most of the time, content is a great way to pique interest of readers so that they want to learn more. So where should we be sending them is the key question. And finally, of course, timing is critical in determining, planning your content to run at the right time. Next slide. Before we get to your sample starter plan, I have a few more tips for maximizing your budget. First is creating evergreen content. So evergreen means that the content stays fresh and relevant for a long period of time. A piece of content about an event obviously wouldn't be relevant 6 months after the event takes place, but a buyer's guide or a how-to or a brand story can be relevant for a long time. If you create evergreen content, it means that you'll get more use out of it. And if it performs well, you can promote it again and save on production costs. Likewise, getting multiple videos from one video shoot is a great way to maximize spend as well. For the time that it takes for a video crew to get out to a location and set up, you might as well shoot content for a few videos and then have the videographer make several edits of those videos. So different sizes and lengths for different purposes like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram Reels, and all those things. Next, users love interactive content. So if you can create a quiz or an infographic that is evergreen, it can complement several of your content campaigns. So you can reuse that with different pieces of content as well. Finally, most publishers will allow you to reuse your sponsored content on other channels. So for example, at Postmedia, our clients often republish our content on their own websites, and adding more content to your website is great for SEO. So I'd like to propose a sample starter plan for anyone who has never tried sponsored content before, or for anyone who has kind of taken a one at a time approach to sponsored content. So you'll start with one piece of content that's focusing on your brand story. So this would be a business profile, as Leah outlined earlier. You're going to want to enhance that piece of content with a video that helps tell that story more effectively. It puts a face to the name, leaves a stronger impression, and this will be a video that can be attached to any piece of content that you do moving forward. Next, you're going to add an evergreen element like an interactive quiz that you can add to all of your content campaigns as well. And then finally, we're going to have 3 timely or seasonal content campaigns that focus on different initiatives or objectives. And so here's what it looks like on a blocking chart. As you can see, we're starting the conversation with readers in January with the business profile and promoting it at different times throughout the year. We have spring, summer, and fall campaigns that will focus on your seasonal objectives. We're using your branded video with every piece of content that is published, and we're using your fun interactive quiz with multiple campaigns as well. Finally, I've added print here for your timely campaigns to increase reach. And of course, your efforts with sponsored content should complement and align with all of your marketing efforts. So, and also in some cases, assets that we produce for sponsored content, like photos or videos, can be repurposed with other types of advertising as well. And then finally, you can retarget users who interacted with your content through your own Facebook account as well. So you've published your content, the campaign has completed. What happens next? So at this point, it's time to review the results and figure out what worked. How many people viewed your content? How much time did they spend with your content? How effective were the tactics used to promote the content? How many people clicked through to your website? And finally, what can we learn from the results that we can use moving forward? Most publishers will provide detailed results on how your content performed and provide advice on how to capitalize on your success. So what next? You've got this information. How do you take what you've learned and apply that moving forward? It's important to keep listening to your customers. I think that's the first thing. One of the questions that we often ask our clients during a kickoff call is, what are your customers most curious about? What do they ask you about? What are the misconceptions that they have? Getting a sense of consumer perceptions on your business can help inform your piece of content. So you want to continue to tap into that on an ongoing basis. Obviously, you want to keep working to refine your brand voice. What messages are you trying to send to readers? It's important to keep reinforcing those messages through all of your content. And then you're going to want to keep giving your customers content that they love, of course, keeping them engaged, keeping them coming back for more. And the good news is that you have an audience that has identified their interest in your brand. We talked about the power of targeted impressions, but perhaps even more powerful is the power of retargeting. So when you publish your next content campaign, you can target users that read your first article, and you can continue building an audience of interested users with each campaign. So that's all we've got for today. I really hope you found this presentation useful, and we'll now take any questions that you have.
Thanks, Leah and Matt. That was very informative. To reiterate, the key takeaways from today's presentation: a content marketing strategy will maximize your ROI, build brand trust and authority. It enables a business to be proactive, align their vision and goals, create awareness, and establish brand credibility, and establish expertise, authority, and trust for your business. It is also a key component to a holistic marketing strategy that will help you achieve your objectives. Sophie, do we have any further questions in the queue?
We do. So firstly, I'll ask Leah. Leah, what are some common mistakes that businesses may make when they're creating sponsored content?
Yeah, thanks, Sophie. I think, we work with many brands that do this really, really well, but maybe a common mistake someone might make is to tell readers what they're good at rather than to show readers what they're good at. So if you're a realtor, for example, you might not create a piece of content that touts why you're the best. You might instead show off success stories, offer advice for prospective homeowners or home buyers rather, to build confidence in your expertise. So a good mantra, I'd say, is to show, don't tell, in the same way that we give more than we take.
That's great, thank you. Matt, one for you. How does earned media fit into this landscape, like pitching newsworthy stories to reporters in the newsroom?
Right. So there's actually, as some of you may be aware, a kind of a church and state sort of situation where the newsrooms work independently from the advertising teams and from content works for us at Postmedia. So so generally the editorial teams are not really privy to what we're doing, and when it comes to getting earned media, pitching editors, we're not really involved in it. So these two worlds are kept completely separate. Obviously, because we want, it's a question of editorial integrity.
That's great, thank you. Another one for Leah. Let me just find it here. Earlier you mentioned interactive elements such as quizzes and maps. Where do those get utilized? Where are they hosted or shown?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Sophie. So there are two options, at least at Postmedia, for where to post your interactive elements. So if you've created a quiz or an interactive map or an infographic, first, you can publish them within an article that you've also created. So readers of your story are delivered an additional interactive element while already on your page, already engaged with your story. This can be a really great tactic if you have a lot to say about your brand, but it doesn't all fit neatly into one cohesive story. The story can do one thing while the interactive piece does another. A second option is to host that interactive content on a standalone dynamic web page. So we can create this with you, host it on a unique vanity URL in partnership with our publication. So basically we make you your own website or landing page and then drive traffic to that. So couple options. I think they both have use cases. The nice thing about publishing this within an article is that you can then reuse it across all of your sponsored content you run. It doesn't have to just live in one place at one time. So it becomes, I think, more and more useful the more you reuse that content.
That's great, thank you. We have a couple more questions, which maybe I'll throw to Matt. So Matt, how does sponsored content affect SEO?
Great question. So sponsored content is typically indexed by Google, which means that it will show up on search engine results pages. But a piece of content on a trusted publisher site that links back to your homepage will also provide some SEO juice. The links are no follow sponsored or sponsored links, but they're still helpful as part of a link building profile strategy.
Great, thank you. And maybe one last question that we had in the chat. Where do you look for the right third-party media outlet to collaborate with on sponsored content? How should businesses go about finding the right partner?
So I think it makes sense for to choose an outlet that is of interest to your target audience. I think that definitely is a great place to start. Now, any publisher can, the way that we do it at Postmedia is that your audience, we can find your audience on our network and on social media and drive traffic to the content page. But in terms of us and the the people that we work with to promote content, to produce content. We have a network of subject matter experts across the country that on a whole variety of different topics that we work with to create content, and as well as videographers and photographers and things like that. And it's for us, it's about building a network of people that can create, that are experts on sponsored content and creating effective sponsored content, as well as being subject matter experts on the topic as well.
That's great. Thanks, Matt. There are a couple other questions which I'll type answers to in the chat, but I think we're all set.
Great. Thank you all for joining Matt, Leah, Sophie, and myself today. Go ahead and watch your inbox for a copy of today's presentation and other valuable tools for planning an effective content strategy. Postmedia is committed to our customer success with a team of subject matter experts ready to deliver tailored campaigns to elevate your profile, outsmart your competition, and generate more leads for your business. So let's get started. Connect with us at postmediasolutions.com and visit our Contact Us page or reach out to your digital marketing expert today. Thanks again for joining us.